Fight.
Shadow of the Colossus is one of the most artistic games I've ever played. I think this was like one of the first games that proved that video games can be art. Mostly because the game is very beautiful and artistic. Shadow of the Colossus for the PS4 is a remake of the PS2 version. The PS4 version, it has much better graphics and way better frame rate. Overall, while I do think that the PS4 version is better, it does sort of kind of lose the overall feel and atmosphere that the PS2 version had. The PS2 version kind of felt like a surreal dream because it had a lot of blooming effect and fog, which kind of made it feel like you were in like a dream. The remake for the PS4 does kind of lose that feel. It's much clearer with its graphics, but it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Shadow of the Colossus is a game that always stuck with me just because it's so mysterious. Like, I always come back thinking about this and just wondering about all kinds of different aspects of this game. This game really makes me think a lot just because it's so like otherworldly and strange, and there's just a lot about the world that I really like, and the game really doesn't tell you much, so I guess that's one of the reasons it makes my imagination run so wild. A lot of it's kind of left up to your interpretation, which, you know, is not a bad thing. The game's story is very minimal. Basically, all you need to know is you're a wanderer going to a forbidden land to, I guess, try to revive your... I don't know if that's like his sister or lover or, I don't know, just some chick, but the game never really tells you who she is. But the main character, Wanderer, is just trying to, you know, revive her and save her, and I guess that's all it really tells you. It's not a bad plot. I mean, like I said, it's very minimal, but I guess it serves the purpose, you know, to like go around and slaying the colossi, I guess. Speaking of colossi, you'll spend most of your time in this game fighting them. Basically, this game is a boss rush, and there's 16 of them, and each of them are kind of different. It's like sort of like a puzzle, you know, figuring out how to expose or get to their weakness. They're not all the same. Like, some of them you'll like climb on them yourself, or like other times you'll kind of need to use your environment or your horse aggro. You also have a bow and arrow, so there's a bunch of different ways to fight the colossi. I think they're pretty fun, but honestly, it's not so much fighting them that I like so much. It's a very pretty spectacle to watch. Like, fighting these huge beasts like in motion, it just looks so cool, and all the different ways that you can take them down, it just feels pretty good when you actually, you know, take them out. The game's pretty easy though. For the first playthrough, I do normal, then after that I would kick it up a bit, because honestly I think this game is rather easy, so it's not really that satisfying when you're like blowing through the game, because, you know, the colossi don't really put up that much of a fight. But at least on higher difficulty, it's a little bit more challenging. And there's a lot of different colossi in this game. They're not all huge. Like, some are actually small, some fly, some are in the water. So you have a pretty good, decent variety of, you know, colossi to take out. Although, I gotta say, I really do hate the little ones. Aside from fighting the colossi, the other main thing is you're gonna be, well, not so much exploring the world, but you do like go in the open world to get to where the colossi are, and I think that part is really just beautiful because the Forbidden Lands just look so good. So when you're going through different areas to fight the colossi, I just love taking in, the environments, the atmosphere. It feels very lonely, quiet, like there's no overworld music or anything. It's just you, your horse, a few lizards and birds or whatever. And it really like sets the tone. Like I said, like the atmosphere for this game is very good and it's very mysterious. Like when I like explore the Forbidden Lands, I just kind of wonder, what kind of people lived here, or what was it like, before the colossi, roamed, or what are the colossi. Like a lot of this, the game doesn't really tell you, but it's really cool to just think about. The visuals, I think, are the strongest aspect of the game. Not only the graphics being as good as they are, but the overall world design is very, very well done. Like some areas in this game look like you could be like a painting. And with the PS4's graphics, I mean, they just look very gorgeous. But what looks even better is when you're going up against the colossi. Like visually, it's absolutely stunning. As I was editing this video, I was actually looking at the footage I captured and was just kind of taken back at how good this game looks. And there's just so much detail as well. Like, look at the huge wave this colossi just made. That wasn't in the original, but that was pretty awesome. Now, as I did say before, the PS4 version does lack the overall atmosphere and feel that the PS2 version had, but regardless, the PS4 version still looks good. The soundtrack of the game is another thing that I think's pretty good. There's a lot of good music in this game, and I think my favorite piece is definitely the final boss theme, Demise of the Ritual. And speaking of final boss, I won't talk too much about the ending or the final boss just because I don't want to spoil that, because I think the actual last part of this game, especially the ending, is actually very good, especially for a game that barely has any story. I think the way they ended this game was pretty emotional and very profound, so I won't get too into the ending or the final boss, which the final boss itself, I will say, is pretty good. It has, like I said, really good music and a very cool atmosphere. I won't, spoil too much about that, just because I think it's something that you should experience on your own. Once you beat the game, there's actually still things to do in the game. You can play New Game Plus, and you can get max out your stamina, which leads to secret, and there's actually quite a bit of secrets and other things to do in this game. You can refight colossi and get different items and whatnot. I think they added some other secrets for the PS4 remake as well. I didn't do those, so I can't remember what they are, but I do know that there's if you max out your stamina, there's a pretty cool little secret that you can discover. Overall though, the replay value is pretty good. The overall game is pretty short, it's only 4 hours, but with playing on higher difficulties while maxing out your stamina, I think will give the game a little bit of longevity. All in all, I think Shadow of the Colossus is an amazing game that shouldn't be missed. It's a shame that it's really not that popular. It's a pretty niche game, but I think it's really worth playing. It's like a one-of-a-kind experience. There aren't very many games like this. Well, that will do it for this video. If you liked it, comment below and let me know what your favorite colossi was.